What's going on, guys? BossBay6 here, picture video, and today I'm here to give you another NFL predictions, this time for Week 11. Man, Week 10 was certainly a football week, to say the least. There was a lot of good games and a lot of weird games, and some that were just downright ugly, but yeah, we are just about approaching the end of the season, which is very, very, very weird because I felt like the season just started about a week ago. So yeah, it's kind of weird that we're almost approaching January as I'm speaking right now. So yeah, kind of interesting to see how this week is going to go. And I do apologize if I do sound a little bit nasally. I have been battling a sinus infection for the past couple of days. So if you hear me, making those noises and all that stuff, don't be alarmed. I'm not really overly sick. I've just been battling some sinuses lately. But I am feeling a lot better, and I'm still trying to get my voice back. So, yeah, without further ado, I did pretty well in my predictions last week. So I'm curious to see how I'm going to be doing this week, because there's a lot of interesting games happening this week. So without further ado, let's get off with the first football game of this week, which is going to be tonight's game of Thursday Night Football. We have an NFC East matchup between the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles. Commanders fans, oof, that was a tough loss to the Steelers. Jayden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, everyone was playing their heart out until everyone started dropping passes left, right, and center. The Washington Commanders are still a very damn good team, but they still do have flaws. And, considering that they're going up against an NFC hated rival in the Eagles, they still are a really good football team, even though their defense isn't that great. They are missing Jonathan Allen really badly. And they're just missing some key pieces. Marshall Lattimore really hasn't been putting in too much production as of lately, but I still think Washington is a solid football team, all things considered, and they are trying to make a bit of a wild card run. Meanwhile, they're taking on the Eagles, who completely beat the shit out of Dallas in a game that was very ugly at the beginning. There was a lot of turnovers, a lot of interceptions, but thankfully Philly managed to get the upper hand, and yeah, it's not looking good for Dallas whatsoever. You made Nick Sirianni look like a competent head coach. That says a lot about Dallas than it does about Philly in the outside of things, but I certainly digress. Now, these teams really like playing close against each other, whether it was against Sam Howell last couple of years or what have you. These teams really like having some close competition, and I have a feeling this game is going to be no different. However, as much as I love Washington's chances in this match, I do think Philly was the more impressive team in the outside of things. Jalen Hurts has been putting on a really damn good season. He's been having less turnovers. Same with Jayden Daniels. But I think that overall Philly is just a better team because their offense is better. I think their defense is better too. Excuse me. And I just think overall the Eagles are just the overall better team in the outside of things. I do like Washington's chances, but since it's being played at home, I'm gonna give the Eagles a chance. Commanders fans, I really hope you guys do have a very, very, very strong fight, but I do think the Philadelphia Eagles are gonna win this game. Then we go from one division rival to another. We've got an AFC North chapter rivalry, a chapter rivalry that begins anew. We've got the Baltimore Ravens versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. And a battle for the AFC North crown, if we're going to be completely honest. The Ravens, well, they have themselves a hell of a game against the Cincinnati Bengals where it came down to the final play. And my God, Lamar Jackson, he's on route to winning his third MVP, his second one in a row. And this one's looking a lot more legitimate than last year's MVP, if I'm going to be completely honest. But, their defense is not that good. And what's weird, too, considering that, the Ravens are well known for, having great defenses. I mean, look at the 2000 defense, for Christ's sake. But, yeah, their defense is just not all that good all of a sudden. Their secondary is going through injury. Kyle Hamilton's out with an injury. And it's just not looking all that good for the Ravens right now, and I really don't understand that. They're taking on the Steelers, who came off of a gritty win over the Washington Commanders. Russell Wilson just throwing that moon ball to Mike Williams was a thing of beauty. And I will say, While Russ wasn't perfect, it looked like he was going back to his old days as a Seahawk, which I really did like that. But the Steelers right now, they are a hardworking team, and quite honestly, this team might actually have a run in the playoffs, believe it or not. It might finally win a playoff game since the first time since 2017? Yeah, 2017. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. Now, I really wanted to pick the Ravens here because I do think the Ravens are like the better overall team. But since that defense has not all been up to snuff, I do think Pittsburgh does have a really good chance to win this game. And not to mention, too, Lamar has not really won against the Steelers at all. They lost twice last year to Pittsburgh when they should have won both. And Lamar has just struggled against Pittsburgh. So I'm not really sure what's been going on there. But I do think the boogeyman is going to hit them back again. I am going to go with the Steelers with this one. And they're going to be waving those terrible towels as they go to Shipper Ball. Following that, oh boy, we've got two Super Bowl rematches here with the Los Angeles Rams versus the New England Patriots. The Rams were coming off of an ugly loss to the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, that game just happened. I couldn't really tell you what happened because I had a chance to really do that game. I didn't feel like it because I was sick. But I think I made the right opportunity by missing out on that. But, yeah, I don't know what's going on with the Rams right now. Their offense did nothing. It was all field goals that they scored. And it's weird, too, because their offense has a returning Cooper Kupp and a returning Puka Nacua, and they really couldn't score a touchdown against Miami's defense. That's just a little bit odd, if you ask me. They're taking on the Patriots, who just absolutely clamped the Chicago Bears in a game that was not even close. Like, they had 9 sacks on Caleb Williams. With that defense, it goes to show you that the Bears are fucking horrible this year and nothing else. And what's weird, too, is that the Patriots are really have nothing going for them. Drake May is becoming a promising QB for them, but they got nothing on offense. They got nothing on defense. They're just a team that just needs a lot of things, but they don't really have much going on for them. Now, this could be a kind of a low-scoring affair, but based off of who I think was more impressive, I think New England was the more impressive team, but based off of how they can bounce back from a pretty bad loss, I could see the Rams winning this game, so I'm actually going to go with the Rams with this one. Based off of, I think their offense is just stronger, and they're just a better team on paper. But New England likes to have scrappy wins every once in a while, so I do think that the Patriots might be able to squeak out a victory, but I'm going to go with the Rams with this one. Following that, we have a game that was actually supposed to be on Sunday Night Football, but thank God got flexed for another game I'm going to be mentioning here in a bit. We've got the Indianapolis Colts versus New Jersey Jets, and fuck me sideways. This is going to be a bad game. It's going to be a bad game. Going into it, the Colts, they just outright collapsed against the Buffalo Bills, and where the Bills didn't look perfect, but my God, Joe Flacco was showing his age and then some. He's now been benched for Anthony Richardson, who's going to go 5 for 58 this game. And it's just not looking good for Indy right now. Their offense hasn't really been up to snuff. Their defense hasn't been really good. And their quarterback situation is just a fucking nightmare at this point. Meanwhile, speaking of nightmares, the Jets themselves. Jesus H. Christ, that was probably the worst game Aaron Rodgers has ever played. You scored no touchdowns against the fucking Cardinals? The Cardinals! A team that I can't really decide whether they're good or not. Now I'm deciding they're actually a good team. But my God, the Cardinals? A team that has been a laughingstock of the league ever since they've been a thing? Seriously, New York? What the fuck was that performance? That was a laughable performance that the Jets put on. And that's what you get for signing with this team, Rodgers. You knew what you were getting yourself into. The Jets, they are a complete joke. I don't treat them seriously. I don't think they're going to be a serious team after this. Because, I'm sorry, you lose a game like that to the fucking Cardinals, you deserve to be laughed at. Now, as much as I gave them shit for it, and I did find out that Davante Adams has not been practicing due to an illness and a wrist injury, I still think, in the outset of things, I still think the Jets are going to win this game. This game's going to be fucking horrible. I don't think this is going to be a good game at all. This might honestly be a tank bowl if we're going to be completely honest. But my God, thank God this got snuffed because, oh boy, if we had to watch Aaron Rodgers versus Anthony Richardson in 2024, I would have probably pulled my hair up because fuck that. But yeah, this game's going to be the shits and yeah, it's not going to be a good game. But I'm going to pick the Jets because I'm a glutton for punishment, I guess. Following that, we have the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Miami Dolphins. The Raiders coming off of a fresh bye week, and they probably had the best performance in the bye week because, my God, this team is doing nothing on the field. They have officially started Gardner Minshew as their quarterback, and their quarterback situation is just as terrible as the Colts because, my God, it's either between him, Aiden O'Connell, or Desmond Ridder. I can't tell who's worse in that scenario. But the Raiders right now, this is a team I had expectations for. I thought this team was going to be a wildcard team. But their offense is shit. Their defense has gone to hell. Special teams ain't doing anything worth a damn. And their quarterback situation is just complete dog shit. It is not going well for the Raiders right now. They're clearly going to be taking for a quarterback. They're probably going to take Shedeur Sanders because they like having undervaluing quarterbacks as of right now. And it's just not looking good for them. For the Raiders right now. Meanwhile, they're taking on the Dolphins who are trying to save their season, trying to make it into the playoffs. Tua, we love you, bud. Quit using your goddamn head to tackle someone. We don't want you seeing dying on the field for the third time in a row. Yeah, it's just not looking all that great for the Dolphins despite the fact they came off with the win. Odell Beckham Jr. is somehow still relevant in 2024, which is weird to say. But, yeah, the Dolphins right now, at least they found their offense because Tua is there, but their defense isn't that great. Tyreek Hill's not having a good year. Raheem Mostert's not doing all that great. Devon Achane's been hurt. The Dolphins right now are just really a nothing franchise as of right now. Now, if this happened in the 80s, this would have been a hell of a matchup, but this is 2024, and there's no Dan Marino, and I think Jim Plunkett was still in the Raiders at this time. I can't really remember in all honesty. But yeah, I can't really tell who is willing to win or lose this game. Based off of who I thought was the better team, obviously, I thought the Dolphins were. I think Miami is going to win this game because it's happening in Miami, and they'll have the home field advantage. But, yeah, it's probably going to be an ugly game that is going to be happening on Sunday. And then we have an NFC North matchup between the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. The Packers are coming out fresh off a bye week, a much-needed bye week, might I add, after getting, I think, ass-blasted by the Detroit Lions, if I believe. Yeah, they lost to the Lions pretty badly. And Jordan Love, he's finally going to get himself healthy. I think Jair Alexander's coming back from injury, and they're finally getting their key pieces back because they certainly needed it after being banged up for the past couple of weeks. They're taking on the Bears, who are a fucking joke of a franchise. You lost to the Patriots of all teams, and you're ruining Caleb Williams right there and then. Shane Waldron got canned, but Matt Eberflus is still there, and all the McCaskies, they ain't going to do dick, and they're going to keep him around and ruin yet another QB prospect. It's been the Bears like this for fucking ever. I don't know how they managed to win the Super Bowl, mainly because they had arguably the greatest defense of all time in the 85 Bears. But that was back in the 80s when you should have been a fucking dynasty, Chicago. God damn it. I want to like Chicago because they have a good defense and they have a good offense. But shit like that is what pisses me off as a football fan because I know Caleb has talent, but the fans and the people in the field don't like him because he's not Justin Fields. That's why DJ Moore doesn't like him, because he's not Fields. He developed a friendship with Fields, and they have no leadership. They have none. They've got no one. They've got no one as leadership in this team. I knew this team was going to be shit going into it because it's like, look, as long as Matt Eberflus is still there, you ain't doing dick. And look what happened. Matt Eberflus is still there. Yes, you have Thomas Brown, who didn't do shit with the Panthers, but still, they think that firing Shane Waldron is going to fix all the problems. The fuck is the least of their problems? Going off a bit of a tangent, the Packers are going to beat the Bears' ass, and we're all going to laugh at the Bears because Chicago has deserved this fart of a franchise. Fuck Chicago, fuck the Windy City. Fuck the McCaskies, too. Irrelevant owners as they are. Jesus Christ. Anyways. Meanwhile, the next matchup, after having that rant, we have the Cleveland Browns versus the New Orleans Saints. Kind of calm down here for a bit, but I did pick the Packers to win that game. Meanwhile, the Browns are coming off with their bye week after, having that performance against the Chargers the week prior. I just don't know what to think of the Browns at this point. They're yet another joke of a franchise that has Deshaun Weinstein as a quarterback, and they're going to suffer for another couple of years of paying him all that money to do fucking nothing. Meanwhile, they're taking on the Saints, who actually did something worth the shit. Not only did they can Dennis Allen, but they won the game with their first head coach in Tom Rizzi. Yay. Or wait, who was it? What's his name? It's Rizzi. Wait, is it Kyle Rizzi? Or something like that. I can't remember his first name. But the Rizzler, as he was called. And they got a win over the Atlanta Falcons. MVS, where the fuck did he come from? Martez Vandal-Scantling had a hell of a game. They finally looked like a competent team. If only they were this fucking consistent. It took them 7 goddamn losses to finally get a win. But Jesus Christ. I'm a little fired up despite the fact I feel like dog shit, but... anyways, this is probably going to be an ugly game. I don't think this game is going to be all that interesting or all that fun, to be precise. But based off who I thought was really damn good, I'm going to go with the Saints for the win with this one because I do think the Saints just look better on paper because, I'm sorry, the Browns have nothing going for them right now. New season was done after week 1 after getting ass blasted by Dallas. So, I don't think this is going to be a good game at all. And I'm going to pick the Saints to win this one. Next up, we have the Minnesota Vikings versus the Tennessee Titans. The Vikings. Oh, God. That was certainly a matchup you guys had against Jacksonville. Jesus H. Christ. Sam Darnold was looking like he was back in his Jets form. And that offense and that defense could do nothing. But thankfully, they took on the Jags, who are fucking horrible this year. And it was starting Mac Jones. Mac Jones has a starting job in the NFL. Nice. Really, really, really nice. But the Vikings right now, they are still holding on to a wild card position, even though they are starting to look a little bit mortal and don't look all that great right now. They are still a pretty solid team. Just Darnold needs to fix his turnovers, and their defense needs some work, in my opinion. Meanwhile, we're taking on the Titans, who... I don't even know what to think of them at this point. They're just a bad team and nothing else. They lost to the Chargers. Will Levis is finally starting games, so therefore we're getting glorious memes. But that's about it. They don't have an offense. They don't have a defense. They got a couple decent receivers, but nothing more, nothing less. This is probably going to be an ugly football game. I'm going to go with the Vikings, though. Short, sweet, to the point. They're just the better team on paper. But if they do lose, oh boy, that's going to spell trouble for them when it comes to January, I have a feeling. Then we've got a Kitty Bowl. Kitty! I can't do the queso one, unfortunately, because my voice is shot. But we do have the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Detroit Lions. The Jags. Oh, God. Jesus Christ, Mac Jones. That's all I'm going to say. You are literally the equivalent of your own wrestling company because AEW is fucking terrible, and so is the Jacksonville Jaguars. You have talent, don't know how to use them, and you're run by a shitty owner. Or have shitty management, I guess you could say, because let's be fair, Tony Khan is literally running the company into the dirt, and so is Doug Peterson, Trent Baalke running this franchise into the dirt. Why is Dougie P and Trent Baalke still there? Because I'm willing to bet Shaq Khan is pissed at both of them. My God, this team is going absolutely nowhere. They're wishing Trevor Lawrence. He's not playing right now because he's hurt with the AC joint sprain, I believe. And the Jags just have nothing going for them. Especially when you take into consideration that Detroit, my God, had a performance of the lifetime when Jared Goff not threw not 1, not 2, but 5 interceptions. threw 5 picks. Granted, half of those picks were understandable. The first one, he just threw it at the line and it got tipped. Second one, he was about to get sacked and it fumbled into the defender's hand. And the third one was at the halftime when it was about to, when he just threw a Hail Mary. The other two, okay, you shouldn't really throw those picks. 5 picks, down by 16, and they scored 19 unanswered points and won the game. They made Bobby Slowick an internet darling and the public enemy #1 in the span of a week. How the fuck do you do that? Oh my God. That goes to show you the type of season that Detroit is going to play. It's not pretty, it's not good, but goddamn, they are winning games. And that reminds me of another team in the AFC that I'm going to be mentioning here in a bit. But Detroit right now, they are a damn good football team. They will have a slow beginning, but my God, when it comes to nut cutting time, they will exterminate those that are in front of them. And that's not going to be any exception with the Jags. This is going to be a fucking slaughter. If this game is not over by 50, I don't know what it is. The Lions are going to win this game. This game is going to be an outright massacre, I have a feeling. Jared Goff, while he did have a bad performance, he is still a really good quarterback. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Even though Sam Laporta is out with an injury, you still got Brock Wright. You got Jameson Williams, who had a hell of a game last week. And coming back from his suspensions. Great offense. O-line's a little shaky, and their defense is a little rough right now, but they are still meeting Aiden Hutchinson. But I do think Zadarius Smith is going to be joining them in the ranks and helping out that D-line. But the Lions, they're just going to have themselves a hell of a game. And the Motor City Kitties will go meow. Following that, we have an NFC West showdown between the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. The Seahawks, they finally got some consistency by enjoying themselves a nice bye week. After getting humiliated by the LA Rams, the Seahawks right now, they're not looking all that great. They were looking good for a hot minute, and now they're starting to crash down to earth, and it's looking pretty rough for them. Meanwhile, they're taking on the Niners, who finally got themselves a big win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. CMC was finally back, but he wasn't really fully playing to his strengths because, well, he just came back from an Achilles injury. And it was mainly just the Purdy and Kittle show, but you got to give credit to that O-line for the 49ers because Purdy was just cool, calm, and collected, and that game was really close. And Jake Moody, man, oh man, he was really starting to turn people's heads with some of those missed field goals. But San Fran finally got the win, and they're starting to make their way back up to the ranks as claiming the NFC West title. Now, these teams, I'm certain to believe that this is going to be probably a one-sided affair considering how banged up Seattle is right now. And while the 49ers are not really playing at full strength, they still are the better team, which is why Seattle is going to lose. I think San Fran's going to get a victory with this one. I just don't really trust Seattle at all because they are not really a trustworthy team for the last couple of weeks. But I do think that the Niners are going to be able to pull off a big victory here. Following that, we've got a Super Bowl 33 rematch between the Atlanta Falcons and the Denver Broncos. The Falcons, speaking of inconsistency, the Falcons themselves. I don't get Atlanta. And that's why this team pisses me off. You have a chance to take the lead in the NFC South for the first time since, 2017, 2018? And you are pissing it away. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't care to get it, in all honesty. But, right now, the Falcons, they still are a solid team, but I don't see them making it anywhere past the wild card round, in all honesty. Meanwhile, they're taking on the Broncos, who, oh boy, the epitome of heartbreak. Oh my God, I was so pissed off at that ending. You had one chance to have a field goal, and God decided to say fuck you and decided to have the field goal blocked. Oh my God. Bo Nix had a good game. I will say that. He did play really well, especially against that Chiefs defense. Yes, he took some long sacks, but he did make some couple clutch throws, even though it amounted to nothing in the outset of things. So, yeah. Broncos fans are just in eternal hell at this point. Now, this one could obviously be a very interesting game because both these teams are basically wildcard teams. So I'm kind of curious to see how this game is going to go. But based off who I thought had the better performance, I'm going to go with Denver with this one because the Broncos defense is really starting to come to their own. They had, 4 or 5 sacks on Mahomes last week, which was really damn good. And I think they only allowed, 3 sacks on Knicks. So that O-line and that defense is actually really damn good. And if Knicks continues to improve like he has been improving, especially against a pretty solid Falcons defense, then I think they're going to be a really damn good wildcard team. But right now, Denver, I think, is going to do pretty comfortably with Atlanta right now. I think Denver is going to have a bounce back after losing a couple rough games. And then, the game that everyone has been marking on their calendar for, a rivalry has another chapter added to it. Mahomes versus Allen yet again. Kansas City Chiefs versus the Buffalo Bills. The Chiefs bullshitted their way through another victory against the Denver Broncos. Mahomes did play pretty solid even though he's been banged up with an ankle, even though at the end of the game he was running on it like nothing happened. So I'm not sure if he's actually hurt or what's going on there. But the Chiefs offense right now, it's not looking all that great. But good news, Isaiah Pacheco might be coming back. So that might be good for the running back core. Wide receiver core is still a lot left to be desired, but that defense led by Steve Spagnuolo, that defense is going to clamp on you whether you like it or not, even though some of them are starting to look a little bit banged up. Meanwhile, they're taking on the Bills, who came off of a pretty ugly win against the Indianapolis Colts. Josh Allen, Joshy Poo, love you, buddy, but you need to quit throwing picks, especially when you have an MVP candidate for you. Even though Allen said he didn't give a shit about the MVP, he just cares about winning Super Bowls. And I think Allen's going to be capable of doing that. Unless Mahomes gets hurt, because I'm sorry, unless Mahomes decides to turn off God mode in the playoffs, that shit ain't happening. Now, as much as I love to have the Bills win this game and to finally beat the Chiefs and have their first loss, I have a feeling that won't happen. Mainly because for the fact that they are without Cooper, Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman. Dalton Kincaid's out with a knee injury. Their defense is not all that great. But they are getting Matt Milano back, and that's going to help them with their defense. But I don't think he's going to be coming back for this game. So, while I do think, and I love Buffalo's chances, they are 8-2. They're running away with the division. I think the Chiefs are going to have their number. I know it's in Buffalo, but I have a feeling Chiefs are going to win this game, and Allen's going to forever be Mahomes' bitch in the outset of things. Love you, Buffalo, but I think Chiefs are going to bullshit their way out of this one. And then we get a game that actually wasn't supposed to be a Sunday night game, but actually got flexed. We've got the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Los Angeles Chargers for Sunday Night Football. The Bengals, tough loss against the Baltimore Ravens. Ja'Marr Chase and Joe Burrow had a fucking excellent game, but their defense fucking failed them, of course. And I woke up my dog. I apologize for that. But this happens every single goddamn time. Every time Burrow is healthy, he's putting on MVP-like stats, his team fails him. His team fails him so much, and it's so goddamn frustrating because you would think for a team that went to a Super Bowl 3 years ago would actually be a contending Super Bowl favorites, but their defense fails on every single flash of the play. Is it all Zach Taylor's fault? One can only speculate. A part of me says yes, but a part of me says no. It's very 50-50. But the Bengals, I know, are a good team. Their defense is just dog shit right now. What isn't dog shit is the Los Angeles Chargers, who came off of a big win over the Tennessee Titans. Justin Herbert looking like a top 5 QB in the league. That defense, really damn good. And that offense, while not doing perfect, is doing well enough to win them games. And I think this is going to be a very, very, very fun game. Hopefully, it's going to be better than whatever the fuck they had planned initially. But I do think this is going to be a very fun game. Who I think might win, if both teams were at full strength, I would probably go with Cincy with this one. But since Cincinnati's defense is not really up to snuff, I'm going to go with the Chargers with this one because it's happening in SoFi Stadium. I'm going to go with the Chargers with this one. I think this will be a pretty damn good football game, but I do think that the Chargers are going to pull the victory off in this one. And then finally, for Monday Night Football, we've got the battle for Dallas. We've got the Houston Texans versus the Dallas Cowboys. Texans, you had it. You had it. You had a 16-point lead going into the second half, and you blew it. You blew it. The Lions were looking vulnerable, and you pissed it away. Man, Stroud, what the hell happened, dude? I thought you were going to have a breakout sophomore year, but you're starting to kind of taper off in quality a little bit. Yes, they're without Nico Collins. Yes, they're without Stephon Diggs. They're without some of their wide receiver core. But Jesus H. Christ, dude, you have a 16-point lead, and your opposing quarterback threw 5 picks, and you still lost. Oh, my God. Houston never stop being Houston. They're taking on Dallas, who are just obliterated right now. They don't have a quarterback right now. They don't have anyone on offense and on our defense. They're just a shitty football team right now, plain and simple. And it's really hard to take Dallas seriously at this point. Based off of who I think is the better team, despite the fact they completely choked it, I do think the Texans are a better football team in the outside of things. I just think they're just overall a better team, even though they did fuck up a lot in that Sunday night game against the Lions. But I think Houston's just a better team, and that's who I'm picking to win. So, folks, who do you think is going to win? Let me know in the comment section below. Make sure you guys leave a like, leave a comment, tap the big subscribe button, and tap the bell so when I upload, you guys will be notified. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Most importantly, join the herd. Talk in the next video. Peace out.